Thanks, Morag. Hi everyone, me again. So Andy and I are going to talk you through the activity we're going to complete individually using our question wheels.
That's right, Kim. So for the example, we have a breakdown of a STD question at National 5 level, and you can see the STEM up at the top that gives the description of the problem, and then we've got the question below. So all the slides we're going to look at follow a similar format.
Yeah, you'll notice also to the left and right of the frame that we've now got on the screen that we have some categories. So on the left-hand side is the range of marks that could be awarded for a question. And then on the right-hand side is the possible skills that were mentioned earlier on that we can look at the question could be targeting. So basically, Andy and I are going to go through each question. And as we're going through, we're going to indicate what we think the correct number of marks are for the question and the correct skill that's being assessed. We're going to use the dot voting system just to show you how it's going to work. And this will kind of plan what we're doing for the next session.
Okay, so let's have a go at that to make sure everyone knows what they've got to do.
Yeah, cool. Sounds like a plan. Let's get started then. Do you want to read over the first question, Andy, or will I?
So I'll read over it. Right, so a fun fair has a guess the lucky number game. A program will be used to generate a random number, ask a player to enter their name and guesses. The program will store the number of attempts taken by a user to guess the correct number. Okay, and then so that's the STEM that we'll see every time, and then underneath it we've got the question, this particular question that's saying the game should display the name of the player as shown below, and then we've got a wee statement there just showing what the output should be, and then we've got the instruction here. Using a programming language of your choice and the variable username, write the code to produce the output above. So obviously write is the command word here. Okay, so what's your initial thoughts, Kim?
Well, the first thing, as you just said, it jumps out at me in the statement is obviously write the code. So the command word write, which we discussed in the last activity, wasn't it?
Yeah, that's right. So what particular skill do you think it lends itself to?
Most definitely, I'd say, regardless of topic, write is really used for implementation for the most part, predominantly, isn't it?
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, so it's definitely implementation. So we'll move the dot over to there. Any particular colour you'd want?
Yeah, I'm going to go with purple because it's my favourite colour.
Okay.
Think.
Right, so that's that done.
Cool. What about the marks then? I always find this bit a bit more tricky.
Yeah, I know it is a bit harder to work out how many marks are available. So we need to actually think about the question itself and what's getting asked for from the learners. So they're asking for the code needed to produce an output, and they're also getting asked for some concatenation as well. So based on that, what do you think?
I suppose they're going to have to be 1 mark for forming the actual output itself, even if they were to miss out the variable part. But then perhaps another mark for the use of concatenation, but they need to make sure they use the correct variable username because that's obviously listed in the question. So I'm thinking probably just 2 marks. What do you think?
Yeah, totally correct. Yeah, it's 2 marks for this one.
Cool. Do you want to pop a dot on that one too?
Yes, we'll go with purple again. Okay, right. 2 marks this time.
Good. Let's have a look at the next question then,
okay.
So in this one, we have the same question stem that Andy read out before, but a different question is being asked. So this one says, the program is developed using an iterative design methodology. Describe the term iterative as it relates to the development of software. Now, I was about to say, Andy, that I don't think this question falls under any of the 5 main skills, but I can see we've got a new option added to our list of skills on the right, which is very handy.
Yeah, that's right. So it doesn't fall into any of those 5 categories. So this is about development methodology. Although my screen hasn't moved on to the next question.
Mine has. You on breakdown 2?
No, I'm still on breakdown 1.
I mean, to move on manually then?
Yeah.
Right. Yeah.
Will we just pop up a purple
Yeah,
dot methodology?
Yes. Okay. Right. I'm on it now. Okay.
Okay. Right. So we've got the skill cover, but what do you think of the number of marks for this one then, Andy?
Yeah. Right. Well, this one's saying describe the term iterative as it relates to the development of software. So we can see the command words describe. But I think it's probably just going to be 1 mark because it's just a description of one concept.
Yeah, I agree. I think I'm 1 mark too. Let's lock it in and we'll have a look and see what it says in the next bit. Oh, okay. That was easy enough. Let's do the next question.
Okay, so this question here is asking all the guesses must be between 1 and 10. Using a programming language of your choice, write the code needed to make sure the player enters a valid guess. Okay.
So right away, what's jumping out at me is the write the code again, yeah? It's got to be another implementation, isn't it?
Yes, that's right. Okay, so this one here, because it's saying a programming language of your choice and because it's telling the candidate to write something, it's writing the code. So it's implementation.
Okay.
We'll move the dot across.
Yeah, you can do it.
Okay. Done.
So definitely at Nat 5, this has got to be an input validation question, I reckon. So I think we're bumping the marks up a little bit higher this time. What do you think?
Yeah, definitely. Okay, so because it's a more complex question that the candidate's getting asked to answer here. Okay, so if we think about it, there's going to be 1 mark. It needs to be a loop, so there's 1 mark for that. There's going to be a condition, another mark for that, a mark for the input, and then maybe another one for some kind of error reporting so that it gets them to retype the response if they don't put something in between 1 and 10.
Yeah, I'd say that's about right. So should we put on like 4 marks, do you think, for that one?
Yes,
what do you think?
go for 4 for this one. Okay, we'll go purple again.
Okay. We're on a roll now. Okay, let's have a look at the next one. I'm going to mix up with this one before you even read the question, because the first word I've seen is the word state. So surely it's got to be 1 mark, right?
Yes, so we're looking out for that. And it's just saying state the most appropriate data type. So it's not saying sometimes the question might say state the 2 or something, but this one's just 1. So I think it's definitely 1 mark. Okay, so we'll go for 1 here.
And what do you think about the skill that's been assessed in this one then, Andy?
Right, okay, so the previous ones were asking to write a line of code, and that would be implementation. But this one is slightly different because it's asking for an appropriate, the most appropriate data type. So it would probably be design, I think.
I suppose there could be some argument for it being analysis too, if you were doing some planning, maybe like at the initial stages, like what the customer wants the software to actually do, I suppose.
Yeah, that's true. However, if you have a glance at the arrangement documents, SDD design is in the section that has data types listed. So
yeah, okay, well, that makes more sense, and I suppose. So a dot on 1 mark and a dot on design. We're really done now.
Right. Okay, there we go. Okay, right. So we're going faster now. So let's try and the last one. Now that we've got the hang of it, right? So we'll go and look at 5 of 5.
Do you want to read this one?
Okay, right. So this one here. This part of the program should be tested. Okay, using a range of numerical values. Complete the test table below, and then we've got like 3 or we've got 2 types of data, and then 1 in suggested values. So
do you think it would be logical to say, Andy, because there's 3 gaps, it's going to probably be a 3 mark question?
Yes, I think that's a fairly safe assumption to make, that it's probably going to be 3. Okay, so we'll go purple again, and we'll shift 3 in there. Okay, and then how about the skill for this one?
Well, it's got to be testing, right?
Yeah, okay, because obviously the question says this part of the program should be tested, so it's apparent that
and it's mentioning normal, exceptional, and we've also got extreme though, so it's probably covering all different sections.
Yeah, good.
Cool, last dots. So that seemed easy enough. So essentially what we need to do is break down each question, identify the key skill that's been assessed, and then think about how many marks are being allocated.
Okay, that's right. So this is an important skill in question writing. You need to make sure your questions aren't too implementation heavy, but cover a wide variety of skills. It might also be important to devise questions for homework sheets or tests that you can use in class that have a certain number of marks. So knowing how to break down what is being asked and perhaps editing them to be worth more or less marks can be a really useful skill to have. So we're going to look at mark instructions in more details in topic 3.